Here we are with track number 3. It's an 8-bar blues in the key of C major, and the time signature is what's known as 12/8. For those of you who don't know what 12/8 is, the easiest thing to akin it to would be Blueberry Hill, okay, that old classic song, and the feel is dum dum ga dum 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 ga. So if you think about that song, that will give you the sort of feel that 12/8 is. Okay, we're going to look at the chords first of all, and then we're going to look at the rhythm that we're going to use for the track. Now, when I go through the chords, I want you to write down the notes to each chord on a piece of paper above the chord, okay? And the reason for this is it's going to help us when we do the lead a little bit later on in the lesson. So let's go through the chords and I'll give you the notes as we go. So the first chord is going to be C major, and that's going to be 10th fret on the D, 9th fret on the G, 8th fret on the B, 8th fret on the high E. Okay, second chord is going to be E7. Now, some of these inversions don't have the 5th, what's known as the 5th. It's what's known as a non-essential chord tone. Probably the subject matter for another lesson, but just take my word for it. Now, E7, okay, that's going to be 7th fret on the A, 6th fret on the D, 7th fret on the G, and 5th fret on the B, okay? And the notes for that will be E, G sharp, and D. As I say, we could have a B in there, but there's not one in this inversion. Okay, next chord is going to be A7. So we're going to have 5th on the low E, 7th on the A, we're going to have 5 on the D, we're going to have 6 on the G, and then we're going to have 5 on the B and high E, taken care of by that bar. So far, just quickly recapping: C, E7, A7. Okay, next chord is going to be D minor 7, which is going to be 5th fret on the A, 7th fret on the D, going to have 5th fret on the G, 6th fret on the B, and 5th fret on the high E. Okay, and that inversion there. Again, this finger taking care of the bar. Then it's going to move back to A7 again, then back to D minor 7. Okay, that's obviously part of the format, but we'll worry about that in a minute. Then we're going to play F. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to play something that looks like D minor 7, and essentially would be if it had a D bass, and I'll try and explain myself. What I want you to do is play this chord, okay, which is going to be 7th fret on the D, okay, this finger barring again, which is going to be playing 5th fret on the G, second finger is going to be playing 6th fret on the B, and the bar is going to be taking care of that 5th fret high E string. Now that's going to function as an F chord because the bass player is going to be putting that note on for us. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Now the next chord after that is going to be F sharp diminished 7th, or F sharp diminished. Okay, and the notes to that are going to be 4th fret on the D string, okay, then it's going to be 5th fret on the G string, and it's going to be 4th fret on the B, and then 5th fret on the high E. So moving from this F chord to this F sharp diminished chord, okay, then we're going to play C, the G in the bass, and all we're going to do for that is just literally put our first finger across these 3 strings, which is going to be G, C and E, making up that triad, and it's going to be all along the 5th fret. 5th fret D, 5th fret G, 5th fret B. Back to the A7 that we already discussed. Okay, then we're going to go and play a D7 chord, which is going to be 5th fret on the A, 4th fret on the D, 5th fret on the G, and then that D is going to be there again on that B string. Okay, then we're going to play G7, which is going to be exactly the same as the A7 chord that we did move down a tone. Then we're going to go back and play C. Okay, then we're going to play this chord, which is G augmented, and the notes to that are 5th fret on the D string, then it's going to be 4th fret on the G and B, and then 3 on the high E. Okay, so let's just very, very quickly go through those chords again, and I'll call out the notes to them. So for C, it's C, E and G. Okay, you need to write those down. The second chord is going to be E7, E, G sharp, and D. You can put a B in there as well, even though it's not in this inversion. A7 is going to be A, C sharp, E and G. D minor 7, which is going to be D, F, A and C. Okay, then the next chord we're going to look at is going to be F major. Remember that inversion we did, putting the bass player taking care of the bass. That's going to be F, A and C. Then we're going to use this F sharp diminished chord. Okay, the notes are going to be F sharp, C, D sharp and A. Okay, then we have a C with a G in the bass, which is going to be C, E and G. A7 we've already done. D7 is going to be D, F sharp, C. Okay, you can also have an A in there, which is the fifth. Then we're going to have G7, which is going to be G, B, D and F. Then we're going to have C, which we've already done, and then we're going to have G augmented at the end, and the notes there are going to be G, B, D sharp, and you've got another G at the top there. Okay, so they are the chords and all the notes. And I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but it will help us on the lead. Okay, so we're going to look at the format now, and we're going to look at the rhythm style that we need to play this tune. Okay, it's quite a slow 12/8, and we're going to do a chopping effect along with the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the way it's going to work, okay? So what I'll do is I'll give you the format, and then I'll play along with the track, and you'll be able to hear where the chords change. So we have C for half a bar, to E7 for half a bar, to A7 for a whole bar. D minor 7 for half a bar, to A7 for half a bar, to D minor 7 for a whole bar. Then we have F for half a bar, F sharp diminished for half a bar, C over G for half a bar, to A7 for half a bar, D7 for half a bar, G7 for half a bar, C for half a bar, to G augmented for half a bar. Okay, that gives you a basic idea of how it goes. Now I'll play it along with the track, and you'll be able to hear the style and the format. Okay, we're going to look at some ideas to play the lead now. Now, it may have become obvious already that there's a few chord changes here, and it's going to be very difficult to stick around one scale, okay? Now, one of the things that you can do to make sure that you always hit on the right note is just target one note from every chord. Now, if you've got the notes written down to the chord, you know, the chords that we discussed before, it's not so hard. So in other words, we can do the C to E7, okay, and we're going to land perfectly on that note. When we get to the A7, if we use the notes to the chord, when we arrive at the D minor 7, to the A, back to the D. Okay, so I'm going to play a solo using this targeting idea where every time a chord comes around, I'm going to land on a note from that chord. And hopefully it's going to make me sound nicely in tune and musical. Okay, so hopefully what you saw me do there was pick out notes from the chords. You know, I'd start with the C, then move to the D, and then maybe move up to the E for the A7, okay? And that's how I did it, nice simple solo. I was also using another technique there called guide tone lines, a technique used by jazz players a lot. What a guide tone line is, it means you could start on a particular string and you can just start off on one string if you want. Preferably a string, preferably a note that's in the first chord. So for example, if we were playing the C and we started on the B string, we'd use the E note, which is part of C. Then we might stick on that for the E7 chord. And we might even stick on it for the A7 chord because it's a common tone, okay? But we also might choose to move up. So the first note we're going to play is E for the C, okay? Then we might stick there for or we might move to G sharp, and then move to A for the A, okay? Then, you know, what we could maybe do is move up to C for the D minor 7, then move up to E for the A7, and then move to F for the D minor 7. So basically it means that you're using a line that goes up that works through the chords. So a couple of more techniques there, common tones, look at notes that work, you know, that are common to the chords, like E is common to C, it's also common to A7, it's also common to E7. For those first two bars, you can use the E, but you can also move these lines up and down, like I say. E for the C, G sharp for the E7, A for the A7, okay? Then maybe you could get onto the next string and play C for D minor 7, C sharp for A, then D for the D minor 7, then F, F sharp, G, maybe back down to F sharp for the D7. So let me just do one more solo using these two techniques, and that will finish off this lesson. Okay, so what you hopefully heard me do there was use some common tones and also use some lines that move through the chords. For example, I used the F over the F chord, the F sharp over the F sharp diminished chord, and then went up to the G for the C, then moved up chromatically to the A. Then when the D7 chord come up, I used F sharp being the third of D, F being the third of G7, sorry, the seventh of G7, and then down to E, which is the third of C, and then move down to E flat, which is the raised 5, or the augmented fifth of G augmented. Hopefully that's given you some good ideas to play over that.